Hello all, my name is Kayomarz and I am a trainer from Wise Monkeys. So in this session we will start with Photoshop. So very first of all let me explain you what is the use of Photoshop. Photoshop is a very powerful tool for editing the images. Very first of all, Photoshop is also used in animation films for creation of matte paintings, backgrounds. Photoshop is also used in photo studios for editing the images, for changing the backgrounds. Also, it is used for color corrections and all this stuff. So, Photoshop is a universal application used everywhere. Photoshop, you can also create some kind of sketching stuff over here in Photoshop. You can create digital paintings, you can do retouching the images, you can do image manipulation, and lot of things can be easily done in Photoshop. So Photoshop is an Adobe application. So let's start with it with the first session of Photoshop. So just go to Start, All Programs, Adobe Master Collection, CC 2015, and let's start with the Photoshop. Okay, so this is a user interface for Adobe Photoshop. This is your toolbox. This is your menu bar. This is your menu bar on the top. This is your layer panel. And this is your adjustment panel and library. We'll go one by one. So very first of all, whenever you start with Photoshop, if you are going to create anything right from a scratch, right from a start, you have to take a new file. So you can go into the file and you can take a new option. The shortcut key for it is Control N. So let's take a new file, Control N. You can name the document as start, or you can name it as basic_1, and document type. You can if you want any predefined size for the document, if you are creating any kind of a small kind of a poster or something for a printout, you can go into this international paper. You have all the sizes A4, A5, A6. If you want any of your custom sizes, you can just set it as custom. These are the units over here. You can set up the units accordingly. So we'll just keep it as A4 right now, international paper A4. And resolution is the quality of an image. So if you need the quality of particular image or your work, whatever you're doing over here, you can define the resolution. So right now I'll keep it as 100 as a resolution, and that would be your pixels per edge. The color mode which we'll be using over here, that would be your RGB colors. RGB or primary colors that are red, green and blue. So this monitor detects the RGB colors. So whatever colors we are using onto this digitally, that would be your RGB colors. You can go into this bits. So bits define the depth of your pixels. So if you want to define the depth of the pixels, the quality of your pixels, that can be defined by this bits. So keep the background content right now as white. If you want to keep it as transparent, you can keep it as transparent. Or if you want to give any kind of a background color to it, you can give a background color to it. So let's keep it as transparent and let's click OK. So here we go. So this is your document, or you can say your page or your work area. So you can see this is your checkers. That means the checker indicates that the page is transparent. This is your layer panel. So layers are very, very important. Layers are simply like transparent sheets. So you can manipulate the layers with the images. So let's give you an simple example. So for example, if I draw any shape over here or any kind of a selection, and if I fill a color from here like this, so you have a selection over here, and if I fill a color over here, you have this on a one layer. So if you take another layer, if you take a new layer from here, and let's make another selection, and let's give this as a red color. So if you go into this, and if you see, these are on two different layers, so you can switch it front and back. So this is the use of the layers. So in case if you accidentally make it on a single layer, if you accidentally make it on a single layer, and if you, let's deselect it from here, and now if you move it, you cannot move it individually because it is on a single layer. So layers help you out to manipulate with the images. So you can take n number of layers with n number of images. So there is no limitation of the layers. So you can rename the layers from here. That is your new one. So you can on and off. This is your layer visibility. So you can take a new layer from here. And if you see this option, or if you see this panel off, for example, if you off this panel accidentally, you can go into this window and you can switch it on from here, that is layers. And also the shortcut key for this is F7. So F7 is the shortcut key for the layers. So you can activate this layer panel. So let's delete this. Okay. So we have some editing tools over here. So we have a lasso tool, a polygonal lasso tool, and a magnetic lasso tool. So what is the difference between these three tools? I'll explain you. So let's take an image over here. You can go into the file, open. So open an image over here. Let's open an image. Let's take an image over here. Let's take this image. Okay. So if I take this image over here, so you can see, if you see over here, you got already a background layer. You can just double click on it and you can unlock this layer. If you press Ctrl plus on your keyboard, you can zoom it, zoom an image. If you press Ctrl minus, you can zoom out an image. So as I was talking about, over here, keep it pressed, lasso tool. Lasso tool is used for rough selections. So very first of all, if you want to make any kind of a rough selection, you can use this lasso tool. That's it. So you got the selected, and if in case if you delete it, you can see that it got deleted. So lasso tool will help you out to make rough selections. So if you want to make any kind of a accurate selection, then this tool won't be helpful. Over here on the top, you have an option called feather. Feather softens the edges of the selection. So for example, if you make a selection like this, and if you want to soften its edge, you can use this feather. So let's go on with the other tool over here. So very first of all, whenever you start any of the work, always make a duplicate layer. So in case anything goes wrong, you can delete that layer and you can utilize the another layer which you have duplicated. So right click on it, you have a duplicate layer, and also the shortcut key for duplicate layer is Ctrl J. Ctrl plus J is the duplicate layer shortcut. So you can off the bottom layer, you can top. Now you can see you have two copies. You can see you have two copies. So we don't require two copies right now. We just off the bottom layer. Go to the top layer. So we are working, you can rename it, that is as a top layer, and you have a, if you want to keep it as a spare, you can write it as a spare copy. So click on the top layer. We'll go over here. We have one more tool over here, that is a magnetic lasso tool. So magnetic lasso tool will help you out if you want to make any kind of a selections with the same color edges. The selection will stick to that particular color. So let's give as feather as 3, zoom an image, press spacebar, and you can pen this image, and let's make this selection like this. So let us create this. So we don't need this blue color, we just require color. So this is also, we are doing a basic selection over here. If you accidentally do it like this by mistake, you can press backspace on your keyboard to get it back on the track as it were before. So what I need right now is only this animal or bird, sorry. So right now I'm selecting the background, so I don't need this. So go on selecting it slowly. Take your time. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Make sure your selection is perfect. You can just move on slowly, okay. So after you are done with this, now you can see your selection is done. You have selected this and just press delete on your keyboard. So as you can see, if you press delete on your keyboard, as you can see, the background is deleted. Still your selection is active, so you can go into the select and you have an option called deselect. So you can just deselect it. You can see the background is removed. So still we have some kind of a selection over here as left out. So you can use the same tool, click and delete it. Now if you see some more blue edges, like for that, press Ctrl and click on the selection. Your selection will get activated. Go into the refine edge and you have an option over here. Just a sec. You have an option over here, that is your shift edge. So if you use the shift edge option over here, so it will contract your selection, expand and contract. So you can contract your selection and click OK. Now don't press delete. So if you press delete, then your selection, the main selection will go off. So we want to delete the outside part. So go into select and we have an option called inverse. Now you press delete. So now if you see, the blue edges will go off. Now you take a blank layer, and let's apply any kind of image on the background. If you want to apply any image on the background, you can take a blank layer. Let's go into it and let's take one image. You can take an image, take any kind of a sky image. So the image is a bit small. Alright. So double click on it, unlock the layer and shift this image over here. So press Ctrl T for transform, press Alt and Shift and resize this image and keep it on the back and press enter. Now you can see this layer is on the top. So let's rename it as your background layer and shift this in the bottom. So as you can see, this is your different layer and this is your different layer. So this is a blank layer, you can delete this. So your two layers, this layer and this layer. So as you can see, there are two different elements. So as we have done this very basic editing using this magnetic lasso tool. So thanks for watching this tutorial.